now it is recording. So.
Okay.
And Chris Bird says, I see you. I'm glad. Thank you, Chris. I guess when we started doing the share screen thing, it went out of practice mode. So we live and learn, you know. You'd think that as soon as we're about to
Well, it's going to
stop doing things in Zoom, we get to still learn, right? I'm excited about this. This will be great.
That's my plan.
Every time I'm with you, it's always good.
I enjoyed doing the interview the other day. That was fun.
The podcasts are great. They're really a lot of fun. And I think that since Beth, you can tell me if I'm right, his drops next week too, doesn't it?
That's
next
correct.
Wednesday?
Next Wednesday.
Next Wednesday. So this will be a very good opening practice. And Lisa David has just joined us too. She says hello to Don. So,
hey, Lisa. Glad you could be here.
Yeah. So, and Robert Shaw is on with us too. So that makes me know that it's time to say thank you very much to our sponsors.
Hello, really, Robert. Glad you could join us today.
We appreciate everyone that is involved and that makes these programs possible. Paragon Bank, Robert Shaw, eBiz Solutions, who will help us get this up on our website afterwards. And then behind the scenes, he's been our partner for a while with our dinner, which we will be doing virtually on May the 1st at 7 o'clock on WKNO. So make sure you tune into that. We always, at the regular meetings, when we're sitting around in a room and having lunch, give everybody a few minutes to tell about their business. Well, since we can't do that as easily now, we have asked guest hosts to join us. And today's guest host is Beth Wilson. Beth and I have been working together for a while on our podcast. We have the best time with it. It's a lot of fun. And so I asked Beth to join us today and tell us a little bit about her business. And then she will help me in asking Don questions and leading this discussion. So Beth, welcome. It's time for your 2-minute sales pitch.
Thank you so much, Pearson. I appreciate it. It's been such a wonderful time working with you and with Jay with Century Wealth on the podcast. Such an amazing time. Don, it's good to be with you today. It's good to be with everyone here with the Society of Entrepreneurs. As Pearson mentioned, I'm Beth Wilson, and I am thrilled to have just launched Wilson Public Relations. So that is a public relations agency, boutique firm here in Memphis, and I'm working with tech companies, healthcare, education, and professional services type organizations, helping just to tell their story, to get their name out there, to help bridge and build connections for them within the community and even outside of the industry, and just help to really to make a name for these companies through the power of storytelling and through the power of public relations. So it is such an honor to be here with you all today, and I'm excited to hear more from Don.
Wonderful. Thank you, Beth. And Beth will help us sponsor the door prize that's also being given by Don. So I'm excited about that. And I am really excited about having the opportunity to have Don as our speaker today. Don just recorded our podcast, Entrepreneurial Insights, which will be aired on Apple and Spotify next Wednesday. So make sure that you join and listen to that. But Don is one of my favorite speakers. We always enjoy when Don's a founding member of the Society of Entrepreneurs. He's a past president of the Entrepreneurs, but he's also an extremely well-known national public speaker. He's spoken to half of the Fortune 500 companies. He's featured in over 100 training films, CEO of US Learning, and these pioneers in the online training. So really, he was doing this before Zoom was cool. So we are very glad to have Don with us today. Don, I'm just going to turn it over to you and let you get started. Thanks again for being here.
Well, Pearson, thank you so much. I always enjoy working with you as well. Now, one of the things that I want to talk about to get things kicked off today is I've been using a theme of pivot for profit based on what we've all been through in the last year or so, which has been a pretty dramatic change from past days. But you know, it looks like the horizon is clear, and we're getting out of this mess, and things are getting better. So the question is, can we use this as an opportunity to pivot into a new realm of a more innovative approach to doing business? You see, I think we can. In fact, my recommendation is we think in terms of a pivot. And I don't want you to just think in terms of some minor changes. I want us to use this as an opportunity. Let's call it a turbocharged pivot. Let's get behind a new process of doing business. Let's become a kinder, gentler approach to doing business as an organization and individually. And that can help us approach what I like to call trusted advisor status. So let's use the downside of the pandemic as an upside for innovation. And that'll be our opportunity to pivot for profit. I think you'll agree that we are all in the people business. In fact, if you think maybe you're in something other than the people business, just ask yourself, how am I going to do business without them? And the answer to that is, of course, we can't. We are all in the people business. So if we're going to be doing business with all these people, we're trying to bring in new business. We're trying to keep existing customers happy. And as we do that, we want to go to market with a pivotal approach to a new concept of doing business. That's my recommendation. So here's what I'd like to suggest. Let's work on everybody in the company who has any customer contact whatsoever becoming a trusted advisor to their customers. Now, what does trusted advisor stand for anyway? What is the meaning of that term? Well, trusted means that they consider you a high integrity person, an individual of character, one who keeps personal and professional promises, and you're just a high level individual with a spirit of service to try to help people solve their problems. And with that kind of an idea and an MO for doing business, we can make some really great inroads into improving the methodology with which we do business with our customers. Now, how innovative do we want to be? How differentiated do we want to become? And the answer is enough so that we are compared very favorably with our immediate competitors. As we outperform competitors and do a better job of being a trusted advisor to our customers, all of a sudden now we gradually see the needle moving on raising market share and good things happening, raising not only the market share, but our profitability. And over time, the more of that we do and the more of these strategies that we get in place with accompanying tactics of doing business, the better off we're going to be. So with that, I've got a PowerPoint I'd like to work from today, Pearson. So I'm going to just bring that up, and we're going to talk about a few different things that relate to this trusted advisor concept. So first thing I want to do is tell you that philosophically, I believe that trust and stress are inversely proportional in business relationships. Now think about that. When people are all stressed out in dealing with you, if stress gets high, trust tends to be lower. They want to be comfortable doing business with you, so let's keep it low stress, high trust if we possibly can. Let me give you an example of the importance of this. This first slide, if you will, talks about the undesirable model. This is where stress is high and trust is low. Now, if stress and trust are inversely proportional, they're going to be going like that, aren't they? So when stress is high and trust is low, the net effect of that is you will probably have a poor conversion rate of prospects to new customers. Well, that's not good. If they're walking through your door, they're responding to your ad, or you've made a solicitation of some type on them, let's do everything we can to convert them to customers. So we want to have a significant conversion rate, but you'll notice on this model right here that's illustrated, when stress is high and trust is low, we've got a poor conversion rate of prospects to customers. We want to convert them effectively. Now also, when we have a poor conversion rate, we're going to have a long sales cycle. Well, what's a sales cycle defined as? The sales cycle is a measurement of time. It's the length of time which transpires from the first contact with an individual until you actually sell them something or engage them in a transaction with us in some way. That's the sales cycle. Now, the better we are in dealing with people and the more we advance our process of becoming trusted advisors and have that status going for us, the shorter our sales cycles are going to become. And that creates more efficiency, more opportunity, and more bottom line profit for everybody. Now, let's go to the next slide and look at the desirable model. The desirable model is high trust and low stress. Now, what can we predict when we have high trust and low stress? A terrific conversion rate of prospects to customers. We're doing a really good job of engaging with people and getting them to commit to doing some business with us. Also, our sales cycle tends to be shorter. When you're trusted and you're a trusted advisor, you see, trusted means not only do they see you as a person of character, but a trusted advisor, they see you as a person who possesses expertise that can be helpful to them. You will have the capabilities to help them solve their problems. And in light of that, when they trust you and they see you as an advisor, the sales cycle gets shorter. That frees up more time to make contact and engaging with other people, doesn't it? So this is the model we need to go for. High trust, low stress, terrific conversion rate, short sales cycle. Now let's talk about what we can do to achieve this. I think being a trusted advisor is about really four things: integrity, expertise, collaboration, and follow-through. Integrity means, as alluded to earlier, we're going to be an individual who is seen as a positive person in terms of the means and manner in which they do business, a person who keeps their promises and displays high character at all times. Expertise means you've got some talent to go along with your high character, and that talent enables you to become a competent problem solver for them. So you can help them with their financial issues in a manner that they feel good about because they trust you, and that's all good news. So I think the trusted advisor also has a spirit of collaboration. Now, in selling, this is really important. And let's face it, we are all sales organizations to agree. Service, yes, that goes with it, but we are all sales and marketing organizations. We want to try to bring business through the front door. We want to try to keep the business that we've got. We want to minimize the business that's going out the back door in terms of customer turnover. So as we think about that, we need to have a collaborative spirit as opposed to a competitive spirit or an antagonistic spirit. And we're going to talk about how we're going to gauge that in just a moment. And then the fourth item down there, you'll see the term follow through. I would ask you this question: what is your follow through reputation? Is it always and on time? Is your follow through reputation usually as promised and on time, but not always? Is it sometimes as promised and on time? Is it rarely as promised and on time? We got to follow through as we promised, and let's do it in a timely manner. And if we tell them we're going to be back in touch with them by 2 o'clock on Monday, let's make it 2 o'clock on Monday at the very latest. Maybe you can exceed their expectations and be in touch with them at 10 o'clock on Tuesday. So let's do what we can to become a trusted advisor by adhering to these principles. Now, going from there, I've got a recommended vocabulary that I want to share with you that I think is, for any organization that's involved in sales and marketing, these are some very interesting and valuable observations. First of all, I want to tell you that I dislike the word pitch. Don't ever refer to giving your pitch, because it implies you've only got one, and it's the same one for everybody. And in fact, I just like to suggest you eliminate the word pitch from your vocabulary when you're talking to a customer or prospective customer. Maybe use the word if you're at a baseball game or maybe talking to a roofer. Maybe it's pertinent then. But let's use the word presentation. I find pitch to be a little bit disconcerting. All right, how about the term closing the sale? Well, when you get a new customer, you're not closing as such. You're really opening a new relationship, aren't you? I don't like closing. I like gaining commitments. That's our U.S. learning definition for gaining business. Let's gain commitments from people. Much more palatable, isn't it? And next, that's supposed to be objection handling under closing the sale there. I don't like objection handling either, because I find the word objection objectionable. Let's don't talk about objections because it is a negative term. Let's talk about handling customer concerns. Much more palatable point of reference, is it not? Okay, let's go to the next slide, and you'll see in sales vocabulary, the old school method is to talk about bids and quotes. Well, when you talk about bids and quotes, the only thing that matters is price, interest rate, things of that nature. And you don't want to go there. Let's talk about a proposal rather than a bid or a quote. Because if you're talking about a bid or a quote, everybody has the presumption that the lowest one is going to get the business. That's not necessarily the case. You might have a value proposition that actually costs a little bit more money. The price is slightly higher, but it's got considerably more benefits involved, which might be more appealing to your prospective customer. Next, we got cold calls. You know, most people don't like to make cold calls, especially on total strangers. Now, I will ask you, how many of you, show of hands, love to make cold calls on total strangers? I don't get a whole lot of hands on that. I like to ask people who raise their hand, well, how long have you had this brain damage? We don't like to make cold calls on total strangers because we know that that is going to provide for us a very high rejection rate. So instead of saying cold calls, let's talk about our people making new calls. You can get excited about new calls. Remember the old line from Will Rogers? There are no strangers, only friends I haven't met yet. A good positive perspective. I like that. Let's go to market with a smile. You know, Confucius said centuries ago, he or she who cannot smile should not keep shop. Let's go to market with a positive disposition, a positive attitude of problem solving, and not any kind of negativity attached to it. Let's be a resource to our clients. I similarly dislike the word peddler. Now, we don't hear it too much anymore, but still occasionally, let's make sure we're portraying that we are professionals in the field we've chosen. Okay, more vocabulary. Hard sell. I don't like that either. You know, people today, here we are, 2021, people are not going to stand still and let you hammer them into the corner with high pressure. The hard sell approach is dead if we're doing it right. Now, if you watch carefully, you'll still see a few Neanderthals who try to close you hard, close you fast. And then there are these internet marketers who put timers on their offer. You're only going to get this offer. Watch that timer because this runs out at 12 noon or what have you. I don't like that either. It's undue pressure. Let's be collaborative in nature with all the people we're trying to serve. All right, from that, another observation, pitch precedes open conversation. So people make a sales call, for example. Prospective customer says, what's your pitch? Well, they give their pitch. And then there's conversation. There's sales objections, concerns, if you will. I think that presentation follows in-depth needs analysis. Let's say to the people we call on, well, I'm delighted to have an opportunity to visit with you today and tell you a little bit about what our organization is all about, how we might be of value to you. But first, I'd like to ask you a few questions. Is that okay? Then you proceed to ask some needs analysis questions. Now, let me give you an example. I wrote a book a couple of years ago entitled Selling Value. I've gotten some nice praise from that book. It's got a lot of good material in it on how we can sell the value of what our differentiated offering is all about. But one of the things I addressed in there is the definition of the word value. Hear me out now. The definition of the word value is not to be the one in Webster's dictionary. It's not even the one your boss told you it was. It's not the one your marketing manager told you it was. The definition of value is your prospective customer's definition. How do they define value? Now, if you've got 6 hot prospects right now that you're trying to do business with, I'll bet you've got 6 different definitions of value on the table. One of them's got a specific problem they want to solve. One of them is very price conscious. One of them is very concerned about not price, but terms. And another one has got something else. And people are coming from different places. It is incumbent upon us as creative business people today, if we're going to be trusted advisors, we need to make sure that we are targeted onto that particular individual or that company and what their issues and problems are. So when we find out what their priorities are, what they want, what they need, what they're looking for, what kind of issue they're dealing with that's problematical for them, then and only then can we craft the perfect solution. Because see, you've got a lot of different capabilities. And if you know what their biggest priority is and how they really value this particular priority, then you are positioned to craft a presentation that will zero in on that. Now, can you see how a canned pitch doesn't work in that environment? We got to make sure we tailor the presentation to the customer we're talking to. I love the old phrase that if we do a good job of needs analysis, we will ultimately deliver a presentation our prospect helped us design. So then there's the next issue down there at the bottom, manipulate to get the order. We never want to go there. We want to build trust and nurture customers for life. Can you imagine in your business what a customer for life would be worth to you and your company? It could be a significant number, couldn't it? All right, let's go to the next slide. Old school, push for transactions. New school, collaborative for long-term sales results. Next, manipulate to get the order. Don't want to go there. We want to use skills that help us build trust. And we don't want to be known as a vendor. We want to be known as a trusted advisor, don't we? So let's talk about what that really means and how this is going to represent something that was a few new behaviors and a fine-tuned strategy in marketing, how we can embrace some trusted advisor skills with our customers. Number one, increase your focus and efforts on the value your prospects and customers really care about. And remember, it's incumbent upon us to figure that out through our needs analysis, right? And we want to verify things during that needs analysis. So, Mr. Prospect, what you're really telling me is, and then you restate what they said, and then they'll respond to that by giving you a little bit more depth of understanding. And that can really help us gain absolute clarity as to what they're really focusing on. Number two, link their agenda, priorities, and needs to your desired outcomes. Create an engaging experience that positively impacts their feelings toward you. This is how we succeed in the people business. Number three, confidently manage your prospects' anxiety by making the complex simple and the difficult easy for them. That's key. People today want to do business with professionals who can take the hassle out of the relationship. Let's minimize their hassle. We'll take care of that for you. No problem. All right, next, number four, magnify the credibility of your promises with evidence. People make new and different choices only when they have a fresh perspective, says my friend Greg Barrett, an esteemed consultant in the customer service business. So these are some of the things we want to do to gain that trusted advisor status. I love for us to think in terms of the concept of customer loyalty. I created a model years ago called the loyalty ladder, and it's got 6 rungs to the ladder. And I want to run this by you briefly. The bottom rung is suspects. These are people out there in the marketplace who they need a person in your industry, but they really don't know about you or maybe haven't even heard of your company, but they're out there in the region or the area in which you specialize working, but you need an entree. That's the reason we advertise. That's the reason we make new sales calls. That's the reason we try to be astute in our marketing efforts. Secondly, we go from suspects to prospects. When we engage with people and we initiate that sales cycle and we engage to the extent that we can get some good conversation flowing, we can start to learn some things about them. We can also start to understand the degree to which they are qualified prospects to do business with us. So the third rung on the ladder is we make them a customer. We get them to do some business with us. Well, customers are good things, we know. But I'd like to suggest that while a customer is somebody who's done at least one transaction with you, let's take that to a whole level of new meaning, if you will. Let's move them up the loyalty ladder. Let's make customers our clients. Well, what's the difference? A customer who's done business with you at least one time, maybe it was a shallow relationship, maybe they made one routine purchase, but we want to take it beyond that. A client is someone who sees you not as a source for one simple purchase necessarily. A client is someone who sees you as a valuable resource. They see you as somebody who's got solutions to their problems. They know that you have expertise that you can bring to the table to serve them. Clients also are more willing to be trusted or to be trusting toward you when they see that you're doing some special things that separate you from the crowd in your marketplace. Now, beyond clients, we'd like to make people advocates. They're even better than clients. How many of you have ever received a referred lead that was totally unsolicited? One of your existing customers just called you and said, hey, I think I got a piece of business for you. And they give you a name and a phone number to call. Boy, when that happens, that's good news. And doesn't it feel great when you get an unsolicited referred lead? Advocates are people who give us those. We got to get them into that advocate category. Now, admittedly, it takes a little time to move people up this loyalty ladder. But as they move up, they become more loyal to us. Beyond advocate, the top rung on the ladder is that of confidant. Confidants are even better than advocates. Sure, they'll send you some unsolicited referred leads too, but a confidant is someone who has become a very good friend of yours. Maybe you play golf with them. Maybe you and your spouse even travel with them from time to time. You have really made a good friend out of these people, and they're probably primed to be a customer for life. So that's the confidant. Now, you've heard the term ROI, typically return on investment. Now, in the bottom three rungs of this ladder, you're going to probably have a fairly low ROI. But that's okay. We've still got to go through them in terms of process to be able to earn the right to move them up that loyalty ladder, don't we? So that's critical. Even though the ROI is lower on the bottom three rungs, as we move them up that loyalty ladder, we're going to get them into the top three rungs eventually, and that's when we get the highest ROI. They become customers for life. They give us referred leads we haven't even solicited. They do more business with us because we make sure that we're good at telling them everything we can do. You know, there are a lot of organizations that have somebody that they develop a stereotypical image of their customer. Well, they usually buy this, and then we don't even tell them about the other products or services that we can render. That's not very insightful. Let's make sure they are aware of our entire line of products and services. Another great way to enhance the ROI with that particular individual or company. So how can we use this? A couple of things. Get a list of the people who are in your book of business, either individuals or companies. You've got that list. Go through that list and assign one of these 6 descriptors on the loyalty ladder to everybody in your book of business. Now, once you do that, then go back through and use your best judgment as to where the top 20%, regardless of their category, where's the top 20% of these entries in your book of business? Where do they lie? Because they will be the 20% that represent the biggest and best opportunity for you at this time. And that's who you really want to work on. Move them up the ladder. Keep displaying high trust behavior at all times. That's where you'll concentrate your marketing efforts. And I contend you'll get some results from that. Now, next, be a bear about your discovery process. Now, I mentioned needs analysis earlier. Needs analysis and discovery are pretty close to being the same thing, but I want you to just think in terms of gathering information about this customer. You want to learn all you can about them, especially what they value, how they define value, what their priorities are, and what kind of problem are they getting really frustrated by at this particular time. And then you can zero in on being of greatest service to them. Now, next, Dr. George Lucas, my co-author of the 1 Minute Negotiator with myself, he and I created what we call the Knowledge Exchange Matrix. And this is for discovery and needs analysis. We've got our knowledge across the top axis, and down the left, we've got their knowledge. Now, we have 4 quadrants in this matrix. We've got the arena, and that represents information that is known to us and known to them. The arena, where we validate things and we stipulate some things and we learn a little bit more about the arena we're going to be communicating with them in. Then we want to go beyond that. Look over upper right on the illustration. That's where we have things that are unknown to us, but known to our prospect. This is where we're doing our discovery, our needs analysis. We will inquire, we will develop perceptions, but this is where we're really going to learn about the customer. All right, look at the lower left on the matrix. These are things that are known to us but unknown to our clients. Early on in our engagement with these people, let's try to give them information and helpful tips that prove to be valuable to them without us expecting anything in return. Let's just see what we can do to provide enlightenment. And this is relationship management. This is something that enables them to experience some self-discovery, better understanding their own issues, their own problems, based on the valuable information we might have given. The fourth quadrant of the matrix is lower right, and that is something that is unknown to us, but it's also unknown to the customer. But through a great collaborative process now, you're several weeks or maybe months into the relationship, you've gotten to know each other really, really well. I wonder if we're going to tap our creativity to the degree that together we could discover a new item, a new service of something. Well, you know, we could do that if that's what your need is. And we pivot, we ebb a little bit, we flow a little over here, and we adapt to the needs of that customer. And all of a sudden we realize they gave us a need we didn't even know they had in a conversation. And we figure out a solution to that particular need. That's the frontier. And that's where we provide great value for our clients, advocates, and confidants. Okay, so that's the knowledge exchange matrix. And that's what I wanted you to see in terms of the concept of how we're going to exchange information. All right, now I've been moving kind of rapidly here, but I want to get your questions. I'd love for you to put them in the chat box, and we'll respond to all of your questions. We've got a little bit more time today, but I do want to take this opportunity to say that we've got a door prize we're going to offer, and that's going to come up momentarily here. First, the in-depth discovery enables you to deliver a presentation that your prospect helped design, which I voiced a little bit earlier. Now, that special offer, we call it the Sales Champion Pack. And this is 3 of my books, Standing Out from the Crowd, which is about differentiation, how you can stand out from your competition. And there's that Selling Value book, which I mentioned, that is almost 300 pages of some great information on advanced selling skills. The third book is Selling with Style, which deals with behavioral styles, the drivers, expressives, analyticals, and amiables. And we all deal with all of those people. And this book will teach you how to communicate with each of those people more effectively. And then finally, we've got a DVD. It's about an hour long. It's got 9 segments. I call them vignettes of material that are some of my best stories and illustrations on how we can sell and service with greater expertise. And the total value is $135, all for $49 today. So call my assistant, Sam Pope, at 767-all-zeros, and he'll be glad to take your order, and we'll get your credit card number and ship them right out to you. That is also, one package will be the door prize. I don't know how you select that, Pearson, but you want to do that now?
While you were talking, Lisa picked that, and the door prize winner is Emily Friedman. So Emily's at
Emily
Paragon
Friedman.
Bank.
Great.
So
Who is she with?
Paragon Bank.
Paragon Bank.
Yes, and we will make sure that she gets that.
Excellent.
And I did want to say we do have one question that Duncan Williams asked. He said, Don, you've been around a lot of sales organizations and have taught us all a ton. How do you see the new generation responding to true sales or commission sales organizations?
Well, the new generation, these millenniums have some new demands. They like to do their own thing. They want to go to the internet and check out your website before they engage with anybody individually many times. But I think it's even more important that we work on trusted advisor status with them. Adaptability is key, especially with the new generation and the millennials out there. When I say adaptability, you got to find out what their wants and needs are as soon as you possibly can and start pivoting and adapting toward those wants and needs. They don't want to hear a big, long story about everything that you do at this point. They want you to show them how you're going to give them some value early on. So keep a few of those principles in mind, and I think that might help. But also think in terms of that old school versus new school, those video elements that we went through a few minutes ago. By the way, I'll be happy to send a set of these slides to everybody on the call today. If you'll just, again, call Sam or email me at don@donhutson.com. You'll see that's T as in Tom, S-O-N, Don at donhutson.com, and I'll send you a set of the slides and also a free subscription to my newsletter. The Don Hutson Report comes out twice a month. But hope that answers the question.
That would be great. I think that it was a great question. I appreciate you saying you'll do that. There's a lot of information there to digest that I'd like to take some time to be able to
Sure.
go through. But I do think that it's important because we are dealing with a different group of employees these days, aren't we?
Great. Other questions?
Yeah. I don't have any other questions in the chat box except for that Lisa David says best book ever for selling value. So there's a very glowing endorsement.
Thank
right
you,
there.
Lisa David.
Beth, Beth, do you have any questions that you want to ask?
Yeah,
I'd like
really
to-
loved. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I really liked what you said at the beginning about pivoting for profit, establishing new processes for and concepts of doing business. We've heard pivot, disruption. These two words have just kind of been top of our vocabulary for the last year. And as you said, I feel like these are going to be at the top of our vocabulary for a long time to come. And so how do you see, everybody was kind of forced to do that this last year, but in moving forward, how do you see businesses continuing to pivot? Do you see that as, as things get back to quote normal, whatever normal is? I guess how do you see businesses, like yours and like you've been involved with, continuing to pivot? Like, if you had a crystal ball, what do you kind of see as,
Well, good question, Beth. Here's what I would suggest. Use the pandemic and this disruption that we've experienced as an opportunity, not just to pivot, but let's innovate to a significant and measurable extent. For the people on this call who are business owners or executives in your companies, use this as a chance to really change the culture of your company in terms of customer focus. And customer focus has got to start at the top of the organization. So get your people together and say, look, we're going to do some things differently. We're not waiting on the old normal to come back. We're going to embrace and indeed create a new normal and use this as a chance to outshine your competition. Let me give you an example. I'd like to suggest that everybody in your company who has any customer contact get involved in a campaign of making calls on all existing customers. And ask them, talk to them about what kind of situation have you faced during the pandemic and how are things going and what can we do to be of service? And would you like for me to send you email you an information packet on all of our offerings now? We've come up with some new things in light of the pandemic. And anyway, just maximize your contact with customers. And don't ask them to buy anything on that particular call unless it just gets forced into that arena. But do everything in your power to just show how much of a service-minded company you guys really are, and you want to take them to the next level. So that can be a really huge pivot, but again, it's got to start at the top. You guys, some of you will remember in the early to mid-'80s, Dr. Tom Peters wrote a book entitled In Search of Excellence. It took the business community in America by storm. It was a wonderful book. And a lot of executives got real excited. They started pounding their desk and saying things like, that's it. We're going to become the most customer-focused company in our business. And the degree to which that CEO of that company stayed with that premise and built on it over a period of the coming years, those companies tended to grow like crazy. But when they lost their enthusiasm for that premise, and all of a sudden it slowly died down, instead of going up, they had a tendency to go down. So that's not good. So I want to suggest to the company leaders out there, get on your soapbox and make some noise and stir the pot. Let's say we're going to talk to our customers, see what we can do to provide new services, and let's keep them well informed on everything that we provide, and let's see what we can do to help them solve their problems. So this can be something that can represent a fresh and a meaningful increase in your ROI. Get more money to the bottom line. Grow your company faster. Serve more people. That all works in a very positive continuum, doesn't
It does. That's very, very good advice. That's for sure. And it's easy to do, just to check in and then make them feel valued. So I really do like that advice. Well, we don't have any other questions, but I sure appreciate the presentation. I'm excited that Emily Friedman is going to be winning this great information. And Don, if you can send it to me, or if you want to send me your the PowerPoint, I'll be happy to send it out to everybody that was on the call also. I guess in closing, I'll just say thank you again for being here. Do you have yet?
No, my only other comment was I will need their email address to put them on our mailing list for our newsletter. So if they could go ahead and either call Sam or email me,
Sure.
don@donhutson.com. It's been great fun, Pearson. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and I hope everybody on the call got a few gems.
I'm sure that they did. And thank you. And everybody, make sure you start listening to the podcast with Don Entrepreneurial Insights. Jay Healy and I are doing next Wednesday. It will drop, and it's very interesting. And it's also a lot of information about Don, not just about his expertise in the sales world. So it was a great podcast. Our next meeting is going to be, my plan now is going to be the last online Zoom roundtable meeting with David Andrews. I know that's the way I feel too, Beth, on May the 13th at noon. And then on my plan now, unless anything changes, is that on June the 10th, Jay Myers is going to be speaking about his newest book, and it will be in person, and the location is TBA. I'm making those plans now. So I'm very excited about it. Don, thank you again. This was wonderful. If anybody has any questions, again, it's don@donhutson.com. You can send it to me and I can forward it to him, but we'll make sure that the questions get answered, and we'll make sure that Emily gets her door prize. Beth, thank you for being here with us today. Again, it's been a lot of fun working with you on the podcast. And if you need anything, she also helped me with the invitations for the virtual dinner, which will be on May the 1st on WKNO at 7 o'clock. So we hope to see you all there. Thanks again, Don. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Don.
Pearson.
Thanks, Pearson.
Everybody enjoy the beautiful day. Thank you. Bye-bye.